Well, can I start off, Amber, by saying how proud I am of our employees and our contractors who've all behaved with dignity and professionalism through the process. No one should have to be subject to the sort of nonsense that has been going on. We've had a small group of protesters down near our well site who've been breaking the law. They've broken our equipment, they've vandalised equipment, they've intimidated our staff, they have actually prevented our contractors from doing normal business and earning their living, and most importantly, they have threatened the life of one of our employees. Now, I don't think anyone in the Northern Rivers, any decent person here, accepts that practice. And even the people today who went to the Minister Hazzard's briefing, they're pretty passionate about coal seam gas. But I think deep down they're all decent people, and I doubt very many of them would support this sort of behaviour. To me, it's totally unacceptable.
Glenugie residents claim they weren't told that drilling was going to begin. What do you say?
Well, that's not correct at all. We go through a consultation process. Clearly, we worked first and foremost with the landholder, and then as we get closer to the event, we give more information to the neighbours in the process. So we work really hard to make sure that we get accepted and behave as a good corporate citizen. Now, there's a lot of information out in the community which is fundamentally correct. Now, our business is sound, it is safe. We've been operating in Australia now for 17 years. There's more than 4,000 wells drilled in Australia. Something like 38% of the gas on the eastern coast of Australia, that's Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria and Tasmania, today comes from coal seam gas. Do you know the governments in Queensland and New South Wales have stated clearly there's no example of any water contamination or any environmental problem or any health impact due to coal seam gas? Now, that's the truth of the matter. We're a highly regulated industry, we have government support, we're a good corporate, we're a good community citizen, and that's the way we think we should be treated.
Now, work has stopped at the moment. When is it?
Oh, we're only going through site preparation work at the moment, and over the next few days and week, the drilling rig will come in for what is a relatively simple well. So next week or so.
As you said, yeah, there are fears, but as you said, there's been no evidence to show that waterways will be affected?
Absolutely. In fact, there's very strong evidence that we can show to demonstrate that our industry is safe. And the shame about the whole process is we all share the same belief in the importance of water and health and safety. We're no different from anybody else. And we've got the science and facts behind us to prove the case if our opposition would simply listen. Now, Minister Hazzard came along today to brief the community, and from what I've heard, he didn't get a chance to speak, which is rather immature. Now, we're opening our first shop front on Friday morning between 9 and 11 in our casino office. And we're setting up our conference room there with information about coal seam gas, with movies about it, and we're going to have technical staff there to answer questions. So people in the community who might have concerns, and we know a lot of people in the community are concerned, and why would you not be with all the misinformation that's been spread around? But if they like to come in, we'll do our best to answer all their questions, and if people show an interest in this sort of venue and this sort of opportunity, we'll repeat the process in the future.
Do you think people do want to know? I mean...
Oh yes, I think people do want to know, and I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. You know, the average guy in Lismore, in the Northern Rivers region, I believe, wants to know that water is protected and that his farm and his future is going to be protected for his grandchildren and their grandchildren. And that's no different from us. And we have the facts and science to support us. We've been through all the government reviews, all the regulations. We've done everything proper and law-abiding, and that's the right way to behave.
A lot of people seem to have already made up their mind. There is a 87...
No, we need to be very careful about that. That's quite a misleading statement. First of all, that poll that was run last year was quite, I think, a fraudulent poll in the sense that it presented an argument for and arguments against. The arguments for were jobs, jobs, jobs. The arguments against were environmental destruction, health impacts, etc., which are quite incorrect. If I hadn't worked in the industry for 36 years, if I didn't know about oil and gas, and that was the only information I was presented, I would have voted no, because the information was fundamentally flawed. The other things which don't get out in the community are, my understanding is it wasn't a compulsory poll, so a lot of people chose not to vote. So it was essentially an 87% vote of those who were prepared to vote. And the next thing is that Southern Cross University did a survey, an exit survey, and what they found was that people said they would be prepared to change their mind if presented with facts about the industry to show it was safe. And that is exactly what the government has done. It spent 18 months doing a whole lot of studies, looking at water impacts and so forth for the Namoy catchment study. They put new regulations in place, and they've come out very much in favour of the industry because they know it's safe. So that science, that data is available to the community, and I think the average person in the community, if they want to take time to look at it, to consider it, without the emotion and the hysteria which is being developed, they will see a very positive story.
Do you think you will be treated your company will be treated any differently after events like today?
Look, I can't answer that. I'm a firm believer in the industry, and I think people in this area want job security as much and energy security as much as they want water safety, and that's what we offer. I think as time goes on, some of the incorrect things which are being said about us will be exposed, and that the general community will see that as wells are being drilled, the sky doesn't fall in, the farmers get treated well, and everyone benefits. So we're not going to change. So there's a group of people who are ideologically opposed to the fossil fuel industry. We have no objection to their feelings about it. They're happy to believe that. We don't share their views. We believe there's the vast majority of the community who are prepared to let the industry go if they know it is safe, particularly if it provides jobs and employment and energy security. So over time, we're very confident that we will win the argument, we will win the support of the community. So we're fairly persistent, we're going to keep at it.
I think it's the same message in return. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I'd just like to repeat the fact that this is not a new industry. Everyone in the community relies on oil and gas for the fuel they use in their cars, for the gas in their homes, for the energy which is used on farms, for the plastics they use in everyday life, for the fertiliser which is important in our farms to maintain our productivity. The community already is in support of the industry. Our industry is safe, and we believe that the community will come out in support of us when they get the opportunity of looking at the facts.
Events like today?
Well, I'd say today wasn't an appropriate event. There's hardly any point in having a forum where a government comes along to explain the studies it's done and what it's put in place and why it's safe. If people are going to come along and behave in a very emotional manner and not listen, I mean, that's quite a farcical process. And I know these people feel strongly, but I also know there's a lot of people out in the community who are adult, who are mature, who are prepared to listen to the facts, and they will support us.